And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode of Pickup Lines on a Wednesday with my friend Pam Allen from Eagles Flight Advocacy and Outreach. I was just telling Pam this is somebody that I've known you for a long time, and most of our conversations over the years have been 2 minutes here, a minute here, 60 seconds here, and then it's over.
Yeah. And the rest, I get to follow you on Facebook and find out about your beautiful wife and your lovely children.
You're very sweet. You're very sweet. But today we get to chat a little bit longer. This is Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm and Integrity Roofing and Siding. We are in the all-electric Lexus RZ 450e, courtesy of North Park Lexus of San Antonio and North Park Lexus at Dominion.
Nice.
You feel okay? Is the air okay? Everything?
This is impressive.
Okay.
Oh, my Lanta.
that's the first oh, my Lanta I've gotten, but I like it. I like it. What can I say? I mean, I think a lot of people are going to see this and they're going to say, I recognize her. I've seen her. On TV, in the paper, and at the risk of being, Debbie Downer here, you've seen a lot of terrible, heavy things, but you're the type of person, and I think Eagles Flight, what you do, I said this the other day, it's an organization you wish didn't have to exist, but you're glad that it does exist. And I wonder, as far back as you want to go, where did you get this idea that this was what you were made to do and this is what you wanted to do?
Well, being the child of a case manager / psychologist, which my mother, she had 6 of us, raised us on her own. Her life was such a great example of what faith and what giving and what community is. We learned that from her. We started talking about, when did you start feeding people? Okay, I was about 7 when my mom would start putting boxes together for families, and she designed this co-op to where everybody would pay $10. She'd get all this fruit and everything and get more free stuff thrown in, and families would have just amazing produce. And I remember watching my mother. And
so she wasn't just feeding like the kids. This was other families and other people outside the home.
Outside the home, yeah. And she was a case manager for CPS.
Okay.
Back in the day, way back in the day, she would bring some children home. She had 6 of her own, but she would find a place at her table for other children. And I just remember always being the house that everybody went to for cuts and scrapes, for whatever their family was facing. Our house was the house to go to.
But as you're seeing this, you're a little girl then? Mm-hmm. Are you looking at this and this is normal to you, or like these other kids that you don't recognize are coming in and your mother is tending to them? Did you ever feel maybe a little jealous that they were getting attention?
No, because you could see that there was sadness. They had sadness, and I understood that. And I'm my mother's 3rd child, and you know what they say about 3rd children. Thank God you don't have one, right? You only have the twins, right?
I have a 3.
Okay.
I have an older, yes.
So 3rd children, they're usually the terrors in the family.
No comment.
And so I was the 3rd child, and so my mother, being the case manager, and she was into doing psychology.
Yes.
She said, "Man, the 1st child was just so compliant and wonderful," and she is. My oldest sister is just beautiful.
Yes.
And then the 2nd one, more quiet and observant, and my 2nd sister, she passed away from COVID just a couple of years ago. Thank you. And then she said, and then when I had you, I threw away those books because nothing made sense. So it was just, it was funny to hear my mom tell those stories. But we learned so much early on, and this is something my mom always taught us: we're not here for ourselves. And that really meant something to us. But I didn't plan on this road. I didn't plan on this path because I was in communications.
Yeah.
500 years ago. And, it was when my son got diagnosed with autism. That, that was really a life changer for me, hun, because, we were living in Europe. I had been in ministry. I had helped with the refugees from Bosnia and Sarajevo, helping get them out.
Yeah, you've been all over the world.
Yeah, God has really blessed me with some amazing opportunities. And so, I have a child with autism, and I'm going to tell you, and a lot of parents with special needs, children who are watching this will understand, I became angry.
Oh my goodness.
I was just so angry. I told God he wasn't my friend anymore, and went down that road. But, I realized that road brought me here, and I'm forever grateful. And my son, who, was diagnosed 25 years ago, we learned to do so many different things. He was low functioning. He did this, pulled out his eyebrows and eyelashes,
oh my goodness.
Self-injurious, was
no.
nonverbal. And so the doctor said, you're going to have to look for a facility to put your child in, because your life will be so disrupted if you choose to keep him with your family. And I when I heard that, Ernie, I was just like, yeah, that's not the plan.
Yeah.
That's not the plan. The plan is going to be to see him through this. And
right.
so today, he works at the zoo with wonderful Tim Morrow.
Tim Morrow, a local treasure.
Thank you.
Local treasure.
He has an amazing department over there that works with our special needs young people. And he's one of our family heroes. We love him.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to do something I don't normally do in this car, only because I see you're getting a lot of sunlight on you right now. So I'm gonna move the car.
Woo!
Because
we're
moving. I don't like my guests to be like in the sun like this.
No, that's just me emulating all of the light.
But,
no, go ahead.
But I'm gonna. Hopefully, there's no law enforcement watching, because the tagline for this show is "I never move the car." I never move the car. But I mean, we're gonna be here for a few minutes. I don't want you to be getting all. I don't want you to leave here with a sunburn on your right arm and get home and be like, "What happened? What happened with Ernie?" Oh yeah.
I thought I was just shining so just naturally.
Well, you are. But there we go. Okay, car's parked again.
Thank you.
All right, now you were saying. So you traveled the world. Was it for work purposes or for what?
So my husband was in the military, and while he was in the military, I went through ministry internship program.
Yeah.
My degree is actually in biblical studies, and
wow.
yeah. And I'm an ordained chaplain, and but very unorthodox. So anyway, so. It was just a hard blow for me to accept what had happened to my son, but I understand now. We're looking back at it, and honey, he works at the zoo. He helps us deliver therapy to other special needs children. There he is, taking children on horses and leading them around, and yet he was in that same boat. And he has his own checking account, orders way too much Grubhub. I got these strangers bringing food to my house, and he does amazing, and now he's so high functioning. By the way,
that's awesome.
He lost his label of speech impairment. He lost his label but back then it was MR, mental retardation, but today we call it IDD.
Okay.
And so he lost that label as well. And this is, I know that God has his hand over us, and it was hard to go through that storm, Ernie, but look at where we are today.
It's amazing how things have changed, in recent years, and I'm so thrilled to hear, because I don't know, maybe a couple decades ago, this might have been either impossible or much more difficult for him to lose some of these titles and to be able to be as high functioning as he is.
That's God, honey. I mean, when God winks, and
you don't have to tell me twice. I know.
It's amazing.
You're one of those people I say your business card must be this big, because you've got so many different titles and different things that you've done and everything. But Eagle's Flight, was that planted on your heart at some point, or how was that created?
I listened to a sermon by Pastor Barnett, and he was talking about the characteristics of an eagle, that they have the ability to see so clearly even in the darkness, that when a storm comes, they don't run from it. They fly to it, because that turbulence catapults them higher. Now go and get me preaching.
No, preach. I've never heard this story.
And, honey, the other thing that really, because I heard this sermon, I was crying throughout, because I knew this was it. But the way that they take care of their young and their disabled. Yeah. So when they're young, of course, the parents take care of them, put them on their back, and will fly them out and help them until they can't fly. But the eagles go through like a molting phase when they become older, and they hang out on the cliffs. They're on the cliffs.
Right.
they have to peck off their feathers and they have to break their beak so that it'll grow in stronger. But they call out to the eagles that are flying, and they call out to them. And when they do, those eagles take action and they go get them food and water. They go get them everything that they need to walk them through this stage where they're disabled. After they nurture them back, then they do the same thing with them as they do with their young. They put them on their back and they fly them out until they could fly on their own. And when I heard that sermon, I'm just bawling like a baby, and I said, that's my calling.
Gosh, dog. Well, that's remarkable. And you've probably lost count of the number of people you've helped or impact over the years. But I just know, having worked in the news, so many times families would come to you. I know you're wearing Lina Khil on your below your right shoulder, and that story's been in the news for several years now, and I just and it's unresolved. And I wonder, and I know there's a lot going on, there's a lot to unpack there, but I wonder if you have an update or if there's anything you can share publicly.
I would love to, because, from the beginning, and Ernie, I got involved with this because, number one, Dad is not just a refugee, he's an SIV, Special Immigration Visa, which means he was in the military when we occupied his country, and he decided to help our forces. So at that point right there, his life becomes in danger, right? So we've got that. They don't understand our culture. They don't understand some of our laws. They don't understand a lot of things. And being here in the States in 2009, I started working with the refugees with another nonprofit. I had 16 different countries that I was overseeing.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, and I loved it. And then I went out on my own. But when that happened, Ernie, every station was reporting it.
No, I know.
Little girl lost. I'm like, no, she's with another family. Watch, they're going to find her. Watch, they're going to find her. And then that next morning, I'm like, they found her, I'm sure. And then Lucy Adame Clark, our Bexar County clerk.
Yes.
So she calls me, sister, are you there with the family yet? And I'm like, no, they're going to find her. She goes, they haven't found her yet, and this family's not going to know what to do. You know what to do. You need to get over there. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go, because I was so afraid.
Yeah, and this was a little girl, for people who may not haven't followed the story. It was on Fredericksburg Road, right, an apartment complex. There's the video of her playing in the playground, and then all of a sudden she's gone. And I think maybe some people thought that this was the first time you had done something like this. And I knew you had experience with families and refugees and stuff, that this was, I don't know how many people in San Antonio have the skill set and experience that you have, but I can understand why you were called upon. And I mean, I haven't seen an update, because December is when it happened, right?
December 2 years ago, and then her birthday was February 20th, and then just Valentine's Day. Just Valentine's Day, a couple weeks ago, is when SAPD and FBI have an inmate behind Auburn Creek Apartments, because this inmate is giving them details
to
where Lina was buried. And they said that word, and I'm like, wait, what? And then we're digging. And then I'm explaining it to the dad, and I'm explaining it, and it's just so hard to wrap your heart around, because we always wanted to hear the opposite. And Ernie, we're preparing, and that's a hard thing to say, hon. We're preparing that if that news should be that she's buried somewhere back behind there. While that search came up with no evidence of Lina, there's still reason to believe that person, that inmate who gave those details, possibly had something to do with it. And that's a hard one. Ernie, that's a hard one, and it's to see this family in such turmoil, and then all of the craziness that, they thought I was the mom at first. And
because to be clear, is it for religious purposes, or it is tradition that the mother, and forgive me, is it that a woman would not speak on camera, or what is
Absolutely.
Okay,
that is cultural, that is religious. They're not going to allow their women to speak to the media. If you've noticed at any of the events that I've had for Lina, like her birthday or observances, none of the women are there. None of the women.
I don't know that. There was one time maybe I saw the mother somewhere like off to the side one time.
Yes, sir.
We talked about Yami Vidhin, and I know Yami's done many stories on this case, but yeah, so that's the reason why we don't see her, and certainly will not hear from her.
Absolutely.
Goodness. And Lina is one, and we could spend another 20 minutes talking about that, but there are so many other cases and other instances where you've been called in. I mean, essentially, are you on call all the time?
My husband would say yes.
Yeah. You probably get some phone calls at all hours of the night.
I get phone calls at all hours of the night.
Yeah.
I've heard moms on the other side of that phone crying for their babies, and Ernie, there's nothing that prepares you, that pierces your heart as more as when you hear a mom cry for her child, and ones that have been abducted, ones that have shot themselves with the gun that was left out. That's some of the cases I've taken. We talked about some of Eagles Flight. We bury abandoned babies that have been found in trash cans.
Yeah,
babies
those are
found
stories too.
At the side of the road. And you know what? Nothing that I didn't want to walk down this road. I have a sign over my door. It's a verse that says, "Here I am, send me." And we were just joking about that. I said, I maybe want to take that sign down. But honey, it is the calling on my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to embrace it. Not everybody understands, and I don't need everybody to.
You're not looking for that.
No.
But and quite... To prove your point that you're not running away from it, you quite literally wear reminders of some of these kids that you were just talking about on your wrist.
Yes, I do.
It looks like a James Avery charm bracelet.
James Avery, our first baby, if you remember, in 2013, Noel was found at the waste management facility.
Yeah.
And that one was a hard one. It was our first one.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what to do. Judge Sakai was instrumental because after 3 months of fighting, I had to take legal custody of a baby who was passed that I have not held.
Yeah.
I didn't get to feel their breath on my skin.
Oh, gosh.
But I still did it, and I remember just fighting and fighting. And Susan Reed was the district attorney at that time,
right.
And she just did not want us to bury because, it's not anything she came across either. And so in her mind, she said, well, what if this father comes forward and sues us? And I'm like, I seriously doubt that's going to happen. So, Ernie, I went to the jail to visit the mom that murdered her baby to get her permission
Oh, my gosh.
to bury her baby. And I'm going to tell you, hon, I had in my mind and in my heart everything that I was going to say. How dare you? What kind of mom are you?
Yeah.
Just all of these list of grievances that I had against her. And when I got to that jail and they let me have a visit with her, and I had the paperwork that I needed her to sign, but when she came around that corner, my heart just melted because she could have been my own daughter. She was someone's daughter.
Yeah.
And all that anger just fell away. And I had prayed before I went in there. I said, God, you speak, not me. And, you have to really mean that. And I was just how could you hurt this baby?
Yeah.
But, honey, I got her to sign. And after she signed the paperwork, she did tell me thank you. And then I put the paperwork aside. And I said, I don't understand anything. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But two things that I'm very sure of. One, God loves you so much. And at that point, Ernie, she just went, and with her thumb was scraping paint off of the table. And I remember that movement because she never looked back at my face. She never looked in my eyes again. And I said, number two, I'm going to pray for you. And that's all I can. Only things that I know for sure is how much God loves us and who I'm going to pray for. And so from that, though, Judge Sakai, he just told Susan Reed's people, you are going to let this woman bury this child. And he looked at me and goes, honey, I am so proud of you. And I'm like,
ugly crying.
What? Yes. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It was just, it was not pretty.
Goodness. Well, and this is just one of the many things, or the arms, if you will, of Eagles Flight. That I know you have so many other resources and services. I want people to go online, eaglesflightsa.com, to see the website, because I was on it last night, and there's different things you can check and different drop down menus and different things like that to look at, just to give you a sense. I mean, we would need another couple episodes to cover everything. And I know the last few minutes have been heavy and it's been a lot to take in. But I want to lighten it up a little bit, because the reality is the things that, I mean, neither one of us are multimillionaires sitting on a pile of cash unless you have $100 bill stuffed in your mattress at home that I don't know about. But these things cost money, and so another component of your daily routine is fundraising, raising awareness, but raising funds to help do all of these things that you do. And that brings us to this event. I'm going to grab the flyer here. This event, this is fun, I promise, on April 13th, called Hilarity Helps. So what do we need to know about that? I recognize some faces on here, Pam.
A lot of great faces. And listen, he's competed in this before. Ernie is a funny guy. I know he competed in one of our